What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 56 of the Let's Build a U.S.S. Voyager tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we've got about a 26-minute episode. We're going to be really rocking and rolling today. We're going to be getting some slight work done on our side emitters here on the side of the saucer, and then we'll be shifting gears over into getting some serious detailing done on the back section of the lower hull. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax. We're going to jump right into this thing and knock it out one piece at a time. So I can't quite put my finger on it with these emitters that I built here on the side. It's just something about it. It's not jiving with me, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And I don't know, maybe I think it's that I made them too wide. So what I'm going to try to do here is take off a layer to see if that will fix it. Because, you know, sometimes when you're building on here, a solution may not always be present. This is why I say that exploratory building can really help, and you just going process of elimination, trying to narrow down what is making it stand out. So what I'm trying to see here is because what I'm seeing is what's messing with my mind. I'm looking at it and my pattern at the top is breaking up, and that pattern is white concrete with half slabs and then full quartz blocks. This is again when people say, oh, what's your patterns? That could be anything. It depends on what we're talking about with the ship. In this case, it's what I just stated. Our white concrete blocks, our full quartz blocks behind it, and then the half slabs right there. So now, to me, that looks a little bit better, at least on this row here. It's keeping that line in place, and now it doesn't look so fat. So, I mean, that could very well be the solution to the problem. So now what we're going to do, since we did it to the back ones, now we're going to do the same thing on the front section. We're literally just going to repeat that same process. Because this is where I think some people might make a mistake when they're doing these tutorials. When I give you a piece of advice on one thing, I think some people will take it literal to every single thing that we're doing, and sometimes that will work, sometimes not. That's just the way that it is when you're building on Minecraft. You know, sometimes things don't always translate the way that you want them to from a 3D object into a pixelated object. You got to make those tweaks here and there. But I think that we're looking pretty good so far. We're going to shift gears and getting our detail done on the lower section of the lower hull, trying to add in some of these panels that are here. Want to get our placement right, starting off this cut line. I believe that's the third one going back. So you go 1, 2, 3, that's your start. Now I do know this. With this above paneling here, and this specifically on the left side and the right side of the shuttle bay, on the top side, I think we're going to make 2 or 3 passes on this. Now the lower side of this, there's also going to be paneling, but I'm pretty sure I knocked that out on the first attempt. I don't think that what we end up with by the end of today's episode is going to look bad, but just for some reason, some of it just making my eye twitch a little bit, and it's letting me know that it needs a little bit more work. But, you know, again, I'm just going to follow that rule. You know, I'm not quite sure how it's going to look out, so I'm just going with a plan of attack. I've got an idea of the pattern I'm going with. I'm following my cut lines here to develop this pattern. If you watch how I'm building right now, you can see I'm going in with the cut. I'm following my pattern. One of the other reasons that this is such a good process to follow is that everything matches up. This is just me personally, but when I'm building and I look at ships that are rendered on the computer, they look like they're shaved out of wood and they don't look right to me. And it's just my personal opinion that like these starships, like they should look clean. So that was a big factor in why I built like this. And then also on top of that, following my patterns, following my cut lines helps to prevent me from making mistakes. So it's just worked out more in that way. I don't know, but this is the other thing to consider, you know, to each his own. There are people that have, and I've seen it too, that there are people that do build by hand and they still kind of get that shaved look. And if that's what you like, more power to you. Not knocking anybody that does it. So if there's anybody that's watching this and they're thinking that, oh, like I'm being like a building gatekeeper, I'm really not. I'm just going over my own preferences as far as what I like and why. But at the end of the day, I'm just some random dude on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like what I say doesn't go for anybody, and if you disagree, do what works for you. That's the best piece of advice that I can give you, you know, because life is too short wasting energy on what other people think that you like. You know what I mean? That's one of the things like in this day and age that like really kind of like makes me scratch my head, because I don't even like comment like on Facebook, YouTube and stuff like that anymore, because you give your opinion and then you've got 10 jerks all commenting on why you're wrong and why you're a piece of crap for having that opinion. And it's like, who freaking cares? If you don't like it, more power to you. Do what works for you, but don't sit here and like tear people down just because they enjoy something. It makes no sense to me. It's just immaturity and entitlement, because the society that we live in today, there's no acceptance really, and that's a shame. That was one of the reasons that I absolutely loved Star Trek growing up as a kid, because Star Trek in its purest form is true inclusion. And that's not diversity or anything else, it's inclusion and acceptance for everybody. You know, like in Star Trek, we've evolved past the immaturity of having a problem with what other people look like, what their gender is, what their personal views are. We respect everybody, and that's how it should be. You know what I mean? So if you're one of those people, you have a problem with my opinion, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I really don't care. Nobody should. Do what works for you. So, I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. To be honest with you though, the majority of the people that are on my YouTube channel, like I think like honestly 99% of the people on my channel pretty much share the same view. I've actually been pretty fortunate that I've got some actually very cool people in the community that comment on my YouTube, because I've noticed I've got people on my YouTube channel that aren't on my Discord. I see people commenting on my Discord that don't comment on my YouTube. It goes back and forth. So I don't know. I think that's very cool. But I do think that people share a lot of those same views that I have, and that's just, you know, respect each other. It doesn't take a lot to do that. People can disagree. Disagreeing and talking out those disagreements is how better ideas come about, not by attacking somebody over what your personal views are and silencing them. That's not how people evolve. And I really hope that Star Trek becomes something more of a norm, and we get back to what Star Trek really is. Picard season 3 was a great example of that, but I think now more than ever our society needs Star Trek like so badly, because it'll be crazy. Like you'd think like it's not even kids. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like we're talking about like grown people that act this way, and it blows my mind. Anyway, y'all know I don't get like political on here and everything, and like you never will see me get political, but that is something that I will talk about. Having mutual respect for people, it's pretty important. And that's why, you know, I go and I have the opinion on my builds that I have. Do what you want, you know, because again, life is just too damn short. Excuse my language, but that's just how I feel on it. But anyway, we're rocking and rolling here on this Voyager. And, you know, speaking of life being too short, you know, this is honestly one of the reasons why I do this stuff, because not necessarily because life is too short, but because I want to enjoy myself. You know what I mean? And things are crazy enough as it is right now in the world. And one of the things that I love about Minecraft is that I can hop on here and the time almost kind of stops in a sense. Because what I do when I'm building on here, this is why I do my commentary after the fact, because when I'm building on Minecraft, I am in the groove. I got Pandora going in the background. I got my playlist. I am rocking out and building. I'm on my other screens. I've got Pandora on the other one. I've got Minecraft. And then on my third one, I've got my reference photo that I'm looking at. And I'm just rocking away. And I look at the clock and it's like, holy crap. I've been on here for 4.5 hours. You know? But no, I mean, I like that because at the same time, it is so therapeutic. You know, just it's to me anyway, it's not so easy these days to like really escape and unplug from the real world and like just life events and things that are going on. So to have a game that you can jump into and play and really just take your mind off stuff for a couple of hours, to me, it's just so relaxing. And it's really just helped me through some very, very difficult times. So if there's anybody that's out there that is watching, you know, this tutorial and you're going through some stuff and you've never played Minecraft before, I suggest you pop in Minecraft and start playing it and see if it doesn't help you relax a little bit, because I guarantee you that it probably will. If you go into it with an attitude of who cares. Now, if you go into it with an attitude that every single thing has to be perfect, block for block, all the time, and like you're setting yourself up to be stressed the F out. Trust me. Like, don't get me wrong. We're going to do as good as we can on this. You know what I mean? But mistakes can happen. It's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. Anyway, you know, just kind of been rambling on about random stuff today. But I think we're looking pretty good so far with Voyager. We're getting our paneling in place. But the top side of the back section on each side of the shuttle bay, this stuff isn't going to be set in stone. We're really just trying to get an idea of what we need to do to get this to work. Because essentially my thought process here is that once we get this down, then I'm going to start critiquing it and comparing it to my reference material and deciding, okay, what needs to change based off of that. My wife just got back from the store and she got me a cherry Coke. How about that? We all hyped up a Mountain Dew here. So one thing I want to try, when you see what I'm doing here, pinstriping, because it just feels like it's just too much with that big blob. So a big blob of gray. So what I want to do with the white concrete, pinstripe it and see if how that looks. Another thing that we could do, that could be a possibility, is what we did for the lower section of the saucer, using half slabs to panel this out a little bit more. That could very well be the solution to this problem, because again, we're going off consistency. You know what I mean? But we don't have to always match. You can, and this is something else I've noticed with Minecraft, at least in my own opinion, because I talk about this, like follow your design cues and whatnot, but sometimes you do have to veer away from that depending on what area you're working on. So just kind of keep that in mind, you know what I mean? But I think that we've got a slight adjustment here that we're making here in the front. Not quite sure if this is going to work, because now it just kind of looks like we've just got a blob right, well, just like a square right there, but we'll have to just kind of let it marinate and see how it looks. But we're off to a good start. Not sure I'm feeling that. Nope, we're gonna get rid of that. So one area that I wasn't fully satisfied with, even by the end of season 1 is that my impulse engines are straight across, and that's going to be a difference that you're going to notice between my version of Voyager and the real one. That my version, the impulse engines go straight, the real one, they go at an angle. And those of you that built that out with me in the tutorial, you'll see the issue that I had with it is that building them from an angle, just something about it just didn't mesh for me. So I just made the decision, like, you know what, I'm just going to make them straight, and I don't think anybody's going to notice it. And it's crazy. I actually haven't had one person say anything. I think that it's the artist in me that makes that stuff stand out. I see things sometimes that other people might not normally see, but I also spend quite a bit of time going over my build and critiquing it in between building, because what you guys don't see is that once I build this stuff out in between recording, I'm flying around my ship and I'm looking at my reference material, comparing what I did. Or like right here is a great example where I've got two different ideas, where the one on the right side we did mostly full gray up top, and then we pinstriped it with half slabs. On this side we just did a narrow one. And it's like, which way do you want to go? You know, left or right? One thing I do notice comparing the two is that the one on the right, with that the way that we have it, it makes it look very, very wide. And this is why I say, you know, be careful with your detailing, because depending on what you do can make your ship look not necessarily unproportioned, but it can look off in certain areas, or fatter, or larger, or smaller. And I think in this case, with having that so wide, it's making it look so much wider than it actually should be. And having that single pinstripe on there actually makes the impulse engines look a little larger. So I kind of like that a little bit more. I think that we're just going to let that sit like that for now and let it marinate. And if I decide I want to change it, we'll come back to it. If not, we'll just leave it as is. And see, I mean, to be honest with you, we've got more detailing to do here on the actual pylons, but this area right here doesn't look terrible. We could legit leave that as is, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye at it, but I do think it needs a little bit more work. I'm wanting to add in and apply the hinges to where the pylons curve upwards. That's why I'm adding in those little stripes going across. Because we don't have the room to really build out the mechanism for it. We've got just enough room on the inside of the pylons, I think, that we can actually get into the engines on Voyager. I don't know if we're going to utilize it though. We'll kind of see. That's one thing that I haven't actually yet done on my builds. I don't know if it's going to happen with Voyager. But one of these days I am going to do the interior of the engines and try to figure out a way to build it out to where you can actually get up into the engines. Out of all my builds though, I don't want to say it's going to be Voyager, but Voyager would be the #1 contender to do something like that, because so far it's the only build that I have that I could physically get into the engines from the inside of the ship. But we'll play that by ear. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. We'll see. Believe it or not, a lot of the decisions that I make with some of the stuff that I do and build out on my ships, really it's a combination of two things. It's a combination of what people are asking me for and what I'm passionate about doing. And I try to do both, because at that point, you know, I'm fulfilling what I'm excited to build, and I try to also give people stuff that they want to see if I can do it. Now there's going to be some times where I can't do every single request. Like I had somebody that was asking me to build out um, another Constitution class. I don't remember if it was the Constellation or something, but it was from the original series, and it was in my Discord. And I told them, I'm like, why don't you just take my Disco Era Enterprise and just convert it into the Constellation? You could easily do it. You just got to update the registration. You got to update the pylons and the very underside of the shuttle bay, and you've got yourself a TOS Enterprise or TOS Constitution class. A lot of all these builds, you know, they're customizable. You know, even like with the Enterprise D, you know, you've got yourself a Galaxy class tutorial there. You want to build a full U.S.S. Syracuse? Go for it. You want to build the Yamato? Go for it. You've got the tutorial to do it, because I feel like they would be very, very similar, you know? But there's actually a cool opportunity building some of those ships because they're not fleshed out for the insides. So you can make two arguments with that. You could either say, well, it's a Galaxy, like the Yamato or Syracuse. You could say, well, it's a Galaxy class, so the interiors are going to be the same. You could also say that maybe they vary a little bit. There's no one to really contradict that with 100% certainty because they've never shown those sections of the ship. You can put out blueprints, you can put out all this stuff, but it just again goes right back to do what you want to do, and who cares what anybody else thinks. So now one thing that we're going to do here, we're going to do an experiment with our paneling, with our half slabs. We're going to cover up our gray blocks with just these half slabs to see how that looks. But again, I think that the solution here just might be swapping out the white concrete for those half slabs to give the indentation of paneling, just like we did with the lower section of the saucer. But we're just going to have to kind of, you know, work out this problem and see how it looks as it goes. This is why I like showing this stuff, my trial and error process. Even though we're spinning our tires a little bit, you guys are getting different ideas on things that you can do rather than just one idea set in stone. This is why I show this stuff, because people have different opinions, you know what I mean? What I like, one person or maybe 10, 20 or more people might not agree with it. They might have a different way of going about it. I say do it, you know what I mean? These ships are customizable, you can definitely do it. So now what we're going to try to do is use a different half slab for detailing here and see how that looks. Because I'm trying to make the paneling pop a little bit more. We're essentially, kind of sort of, staying with our template as far as our pattern, but we're kind of just using a different pattern and a different way of going about it. I don't know if we're going to end up keeping these, but this isn't a bad idea to try. And again, I like showing this stuff because somebody might see this and be like, yo, this is what I need right here. And those of you that need it, bam, there it is. That doesn't look too bad. There's literally a couple of ways right there that we can detail this area of the ship. So, I think we're going to do the same thing on this side. And then, we've got one last thing that we're going to do here. All this white concrete, the outline that we did here, we're going to swap this out for that gray. We're not going to go all the way up. We're not going to do every single one. But we're really just replacing our hull lines with something just a little bit thicker. And we're only going to bring it up to there. And just bring it all the way back. So you're going to want to do this for both the left and right side. We're just swapping out our concrete. That's it. You don't want to touch the quartz. So I'm going to let the rest of this play out. Well, actually, no, we'll stop it right here, because I think that you guys got this. Like, this stuff, if you've gotten this far with me in Voyager, you can repeat this step. Have more confidence in yourself. What we're doing here, we're just swapping out the concrete for this gray, and that's really it. And you're going to do this for the left side and right side. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this episode, please hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. And I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Drop your photos in Discord.